Hare Krishna, Pramada Pramada. This is Caitanya Caritamrta Antya from California.
Hare Krishna, I think it's Prithvilashini Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All grace to Srila Prabhupada, all grace to Maharaj. Thank you, Mataji, for joining this morning. Hare Krishna, and giving your association. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavad Pranams. Our glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharajas and all the assembled Vaishnavas. This is Caitanya Dasi.
Hare Krishna, Kirtidasundari Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much for joining Mataji and giving your valuable association. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Is there anyone else who would like to introduce? Hare Krishna Mataji. Has Mataji joined yet? Sundari Mataji, Mataji.
I don't see her yet, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare Krishna.
Mataji has joined. So
Hare Krishna. Welcome to Bhakti Sangha Japa Conference. So today's class will be given by Her Grace Urmila Devi Dasi on the topic of Sri Caitanya Caritamrta, chapter Lila, chapter 14, text number 11 onwards. Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to
I thought this is Antya Lila.
Hare Krishna.
Are we on Antya Lila or Adi Lila? I was told it was Antya.
Antya Lila.
Antya, okay.
Antya Lila.
Okay. I prepared a class for Antya Lila. It's funny, I just gave class on the verses from Adi Lila just a week ago. If it was Adi, we could do that. Okay, we go for what, an hour?
Yes.
Yes.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janabalabha Girivaradari. Gopi Janabalabha Girivaradari. Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Jayam Vishnupad, Paramahamsa, Parivrajacharya, Asatara Satasri Srimad, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, Prem Shri Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shai Mukunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki jai, Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Mathura Dham ki jai, Navadvip Mayapur Dham ki jai, Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai, Gangamai Jamun Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Tosti Maharani ki jai, Samveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya. Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane. Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pacharni Nivasesa Nivali Bhaskacharya Satarne. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru and Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Parijana Sahita Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Scha Panchakapati Vishak Kipasan Bhyavata Patitanam Pavaneva Vaishnavam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda. So it is March 30th, 2021, and this is Japa Sangha on the internet. Again, I'm not quite sure where it's originating. It's people all over the place. And we're reading from Caitanya Caritamrta Antya Lila, chapter 14, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's feeling of separation from Krishna. And we're going to start with text 11. Tate Vishvasakari Shuna Bhavera Varana Ha Ibe Barera Jnana Paliba Prema Dana. Please hear faithfully this description of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's ecstatic emotions. Thus you will come to know of his ecstatic love, and ultimately you will achieve love of Godhead. And we notice this Prema Dana. So this Prema Dana is also in a verse in the explanation of the Shikshastika. Prema Dana, what's it? Dasa Kori Betan Mori. Deha Prema Dana. Where our Lord Chaitanya says, without love of God, life is useless and poor. Please make me your servant, Dasa Kori. Betan Mori, give me the salary of love of God. It's interesting because sometimes one sees Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's translation of that verse, and people attribute the verse to Bhaktisiddhanta, spoken by Lord Chaitanya. So by meditating on Lord Chaitanya's ecstatic love, we will also achieve love of God. All right, I'm going to text 12. Krishna Mathuraya Gele Gopira Jay Dasa Hoila. Krishna Vicheda Prabhura Se Dasha Upajiya. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu felt separation from Krishna, his condition exactly corresponded to that of the gopis in Vrindavana after Krishna's departure for Mathura. And that's some of the most intense feelings of separation. As we know, there's different kinds of separation. One is when the lover is geographically distant. One is when the lover is close by, but there has been some kind of quarrel and one feels distant by anger. And another is when there's no quarrel and there's no geographic distance, but one just somehow feels separation. I mean, we experience the perversions of this in this world, that we miss someone who's far away, or the separation we feel when there's an argument with someone or an estrangement from someone. And then the times when you're with somebody and everything's fine, and the mind goes, oh, what if they leave? What if something happens? And you feel some separation in their presence. Of course, sometimes Srimati Radharani actually thinks Krishna is gone when he's right there. Now, materially, these sorts of separations are full of grief and agony. But spiritually, they're another kind of ecstasy. Everything material, either good or bad, has its spiritual component, which is all good. Text 13. Udava darshane yaiche radhara vilapa, krame krame haila prabora se unmada vilapa. The lamentation of Srimati Radharani when Uddhava visited Vrindavana gradually became a feature of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's transcendental madness. So here we have not just the Krishnas in Mathura, but he sends this message with Uddhava. And when Uddhava is speaking to the gopis, you have this sort of mix that, getting a letter from Krishna, they feel that he's there in his letter, and yet getting a letter from him reminds him that he's not there. Yes, and in that letter, of course, Krishna's preaching Gyan and Yoga. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in his commentary to, I think it's 1740, he says that Krishna's testing the gopis by presenting Gyan and Yoga in these letters of Uddhava. And so the gopis they enter into a state of such intense feelings of separation that it appears that they become mad. It appears that they become crazy. And there's a very detailed analysis of the talks, the mad talks of Srimati Radharani in the Caitanya Caritamrta and also in the Ujjvala Nilamani. And it's interesting that these talks are considered a kind of prajalpa. We learn by Rupa Goswami that prajalpa is one of the causes of fall down in Krishna consciousness. But the prajalpa in this ecstasy of separation is a symptom of love. Okay, let's go to text 14. Radhikara bhave prabhura sada abhimana. Se bhave apan ake haila radha gyan. I'm going to read the word for word here. So Radhikara bhave, in the emotion of Srimati Radharani, prabhura of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, sada always, abhimana, conception. Abhimana means how we think of ourselves. It's almost a synonym for ahankara. Of course, ahankara is specifically false ego, but abhimana is our identity. Se bhave, under such a conception, unto himself, Haya becomes Radha Gyan, consideration as Srimati Radharani. Srila Prabhupada's translation, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's emotions exactly corresponded to those of Srimati Radharani when she met Uddhava. The Lord always conceived of himself in her position and sometimes thought that he was Srimati Radharani herself. So, of course, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does have times that he shows himself to be Krishna as it goes on in his Lila, as his Lilas progress, and he gets deeper and deeper into his ecstatic emotions. He gets more and more into this abhiman of not only Radharani's mood, right, Radharani's bhava, but actually thinking he is Srimati Radharani. Srila Prabhupada's purport. And Srila Prabhupada often in Caitanya Caritamrta is referencing or even quoting from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's purport. Prabhupada's purport, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura explains that the purport of the word abhimana or self-conception is that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thought himself to be in the position of Srimati Radharani and was always ready to render Krishna service in that way. Although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was Krishna himself, He assumed the complexion and emotions of Srimati Radharani and remained in that status. He never assumed the complexion or status of Lord Krishna. Now that's an interesting statement here, which we'll get to a little later. Of course, Krishna wanted to experience the role of Srimati Radharani. That is the original cause of his assuming the body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, pure Vaishnavas never disturbed Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's conception of being Srimati Radharani. Unfortunately, at the present time, at the time of the writing of this, a group of so-called devotees maintain that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the enjoyer and that they are enjoyers as well. They've actually deviated from devotional service to the Lord. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu manifested himself to show that cultivation of love for Krishna in separation is the easiest way of success for all living entities. Despite this fact, there are some theosophists who declare that because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, such cultivation is easy for him, but difficult for the living entity, and one can therefore approach Krishna in any way he likes. To nullify this idea, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu demonstrated practically how one can achieve love for Krishna by adopting Srimati Radharani's mood in separation from Krishna. Okay. So it's very important, if we want to be a servant, to be able to understand the mood of our master. Yes. In fact, it's essential that we have to understand the master's mood. I had one of my godbrothers, one senior devotee, that didn't like this word mood. Said, it sounds like capricious or just, somebody who's very governed by their emotions. But we find that Srila Prabhupada used this word, this mood of the Lord, the mood of the Guru. And of course, the word bhava. Bhava can mean emotion, but it also means one's a general predilection, general desire, you could say. A frame of mind, frame of emotion, general desire. And to be a servant, again, means to follow the mood of the master. I mean, we can see an example of this in Ishwara Puri and Madhavendra Puri and Ramachandra Puri. So Ramachandra Puri didn't understand the mood of his guru, Ramachandra Puri. When Madhavendra Puri, when Madhavendra Puri was getting ready to give up his body to leave this planet. So he was in this mood of separation that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibits. And he was saying, I'm not with Krishna. When will I be with Krishna? When will I attain Mathura? Mathura can mean the city of Mathura, or it can mean the whole Vrindavan area. Mathura is just like Vrindavan can mean the forest of Vrindavan, or it can mean the whole Vrindavan area. Mathura can mean the whole area, including Mathura and Vrindavan area. So Madhavendra Puri is saying, when will I attain Mathura? When will I attain Mathura? In this deep separation, like Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was exhibiting, that Srila Prabhupada is saying, here is the easiest way. The easiest way of success, Prabhupada says. And Ramachandra Puri, his disciple, thought that his guru was engaged in some sort of mundane lamentation. And he starts saying, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatman, Asochatina Kanchati Sarma Sarveshu Bhuteshu, Mad Bhaktin Labhate Param. That if you're a liberated soul, O Guru, why are you lamenting? And Madhavendra Puri was so disturbed that he asked Ramachandra Puri to leave. And of course, Ramachandra Puri then offended God himself in Jagannath Puri, offended Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. Whereas Ishwara Puri, understanding the mood of Madhavendra Puri, supported him in that mood. Yes, and generally, each form of the Lord has an overall mood, and then the moods at particular times, because the Lord is a person. Now, each of us jivas, according to Sanatana Goswami, is going to be attracted to and according to Lord Brahma, is going to be attracted to a particular form, or even a particular manifestation of a particular form. And we're going to be attracted to particular qualities of the Lord. Yeah, just like even in a family. Let's say in a family, there's 3 or 4 children, and each child has, it's like, a functional, healthy family, and each child is going to have a loving relationship with the mother and with the father, but for each child, that relationship will be a little different, right? So some children, they may like to go hiking with their father, and other children may like to discuss philosophy with the father. So it's the same father, but the different children may have different aspects of their father that they particularly relate to. So we each have a different mood of the Lord that we're related to, a different quality. At the same time, when the Lord is in various forms, we respect and serve that form the way the Lord wants to be served. And we trust that Krishna will reciprocate. We don't try to force something on the Lord. That is not service. So each form of the Lord has his own particular mood, some particular mission, and what qualities he's displaying. Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Ananta Rupam. The Lord has unlimited forms. Now, Ananta Rupam can mean each form of the Lord is unlimited. Just like Yasodhama, she's trying to tie up Krishna with these ropes, and she can't do it because he has an Ananta Rupa, he has an unlimited form. Ananta Rupa can also mean that the Lord has many, 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 many forms. Now, we know there are yogis who can expand themselves, but Prabhupada also says that the liberated jiva can expand into many forms, not unlimitedly like the Lord, but many forms. This is explained also by Narada Muni to Gopakumar in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. So, I mean, I have wanted to do that since I was a child. I remember being in school and thinking, why can't I expand myself and have one form here in school doing my schoolwork and another form at the beach? I mean, I don't really think about it anymore, but it would be kind of cool, right? I could have one form, that's studying Bhagavatam. I could have another form that's out taking a walk. I could have another form that was taking prasadam, and I could experience all this simultaneously. Another form serving the deities. That would be really cool. So the liberated jiva can do this. Yes, and Krishna can also do this. Krishna does this unlimitedly. He has unlimited forms that are compared to the waves in the ocean. Who can count the waves in the ocean? So Krishna has these unlimited forms. And in each form, he's displaying slightly different qualities. Like we know Rupa Goswami says that only the form of Krishna displays all of the qualities of Godhead. That Narayana, Vishnu, there's some qualities of Godhead they don't display. They have to have those qualities, otherwise they wouldn't be God. But some of them they do. They never manifest. Like you could say, when a person's working at a job, there are certain intimate qualities that they never manifest at their job, that they're going to manifest with their family. They have those qualities when they're working. It's not that they don't have them, but they don't display them to anyone. It's just not a conducive atmosphere to display them. Or the husband and wife, when they're just alone together, they may display certain qualities, certain behaviors that they don't display even in front of their other family members. So Krishna is also like this. He has certain qualities and certain behaviors that he displays with his different forms. And he has different missions also. If I have a different mission, I may wear different clothing. Like I was doing this service for Tulsi a few weeks ago and I was just out in my white saris, and I ended up getting all this soil on my clothes. And I thought, really, to do this work, I should be wearing some dark clothing, right? If you're going to do really heavy duty construction work, you probably want to put on a heavy pair of trousers, like blue jeans or something. So we may put on different clothing according to our different missions right? Someone who's a firefighter, they wear a special firefighting suit when they go into the burning house. They're not wearing that at home with their family. So Krishna, not just different clothing, but Krishna's form actually changes according to his mission. So therefore we see when the Lord is rescuing the earth from the Garbhodak ocean, he has the form of a large hog, boar. When he is killing Hiranyakashipu, he takes his half man, half lion form. Right? He's speaking the Vedas with a horse's head. So he's holding up Mandira mountain in the form of a turtle. So he takes on these different forms because he has a different mission and a different mood. Yes. And so this is our understanding that God is one. There's only one God. We're not saying that there's many gods. The other day I found a place on the internet that was trying to list the main philosophical beliefs of the Hare Krishna movement. They got most of them right. I was impressed that they got most of them right. But one that they got wrong was thinking that all the demigods were God, and God is all the demigods. They couldn't understand. And we find many people raised in Hindu families also, or people studying Hinduism, they don't understand. They think if Krishna's God and Vishnu's God and Varaha's God and Nrsingadev's God, then maybe Ganesha is God too. Maybe Durga is God too. Maybe they're all God. I mean, in one sense, everything's God. But as far as actually God, Bhagavan, that's another thing. Right? Krishna says he's the taste in water, but the taste of water isn't God in the sense of controlling the movements of the planets. Yeah. So we understand there's one God, but he does exist simultaneously in unlimited forms that have unlimited features of forms and unlimited qualities and moods and missions. And those, missions that he wants to do. So he has a particular complexion, a particular form for that particular mission. Yeah. Now, as we said, each of us has an attraction to specific forms of the Lord. To explain that, when the Lord who had appeared as the cowherd boys and the calves after their theft by Brahma, when each of them appeared as Vishnu, they were worshipped by all living entities. And there, Sanatana Goswami says that the Lord has unlimited qualities. There are unlimited jivas, and each jiva is especially attracted by a particular quality. Now, also, when the 16,100 princesses that the Lord rescued were all married on the same day, and there were ceremonies that expanded. And not only did the Lord expand, but the Lord, Vasudeva and Devaki also expanded, so they could, imagine if your son's getting married, you want to be there at the wedding, right? I mean, what mother doesn't want to be there at the wedding of her son? So the mother and father want to be there. But what are you doing? What are you going to do if your son's having lots of weddings simultaneously? I mean, how are you going to do that? So they expanded themselves, and there were all these weddings going on at the same time. Yeah. But it's explained by our acharyas that at each of these weddings, although it was all Krishna, it wasn't like one was Krishna, one was Vishnu, and one was Varaha. The Lord looked a little different according to how that particular bride, how that particular princess wanted to see him. We try to imitate this in this world. It's very common that in a marriage that the wife tries to make the husband into what she wants, or the husband tries to make the wife into what he wants, or the parents try to make the children into what they want, or the children try to make the parents into what they want. We may do this with friends. We may try to mold people in our life to be the way we want them to be, to satisfy our senses. But with Krishna, this is done out of love. The Krishna naturally adopts the form Lord Brahma says this in the 3rd canto, that the Lord appears in whatever form we want to worship him. So each of us has our favorite manifestation of the Lord. We do. We have a way we particularly want to see the Lord. Just like the gopis, they want to see Krishna in Vrindavan. They don't want to see Krishna in Mathura and Dwarka. That's not the mood in which they want to worship Krishna. I mean, they see him at Kurukshetra for the eclipse, but then they say, come on back to Vrindavan. Come back to Vrindavan. Now, they want to see him in Vrindavan, not for their own sense gratification, but because they feel, oh, Krishna's happiest there. It's like each devotee picks up on a particular kind of happiness of the Lord, and the devotee wants to facilitate that particular happiness. Let's think about in this world, for an example. Let's say a couple's getting married and they do what we call a gift registry. I had it several times when devotee couples got married and I wanted to get them a gift. And so I said, do you have a gift registry? And they're like, no, we don't want to ask for any. And I said, look, everybody wants to give you a present when you get married, but they want to give you something that you really want or need, and they don't want there to be duplicates. I don't want to buy you a blender and then another 10 people are also buying you a blender. So the registry is very useful. It's a way of your showing your love for the guests at your wedding, right? So anyway, there's this wedding registry. And nowadays, of course, it's online. Used to be you would go into the shop physically, but now you go online to, and a couple may have registries on several different websites, several different shops. So you go to the shop and you see all the things that they say they want. And then you decide which of the desires of the couple you also desire to give them. Does everybody follow that? So the couple, they want bed sheets, and they want a blender, and they want chairs, and they want silverware. They have a list of things that they want. And then you look at the list, and of course, we're also looking at money. Some of the things may be $300, and some of them may be $15. So we also see how much money we have to give. But it's putting aside money. Let's just say we didn't have to worry about money. Then how do we choose which gift we want to give? Because we know that they want all of them. That's why they're on the registry. But there are some gifts that we particularly want to give. Maybe I think about bed sheets or towels, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to. And then I look at the spice rack and I go, oh, I'd like to give that. Oh, I'd like to give that. This is true also like when you give to charity. So a lot of charities, they have different things you can give for, right? You can give, like I recently gave some money to the eye clinic, the Barshana Eye Clinic run by Bhaktivedanta Hospital. And I got an email from a devotee who manages those donations. And he says, what did you want this money to go to? And I said, I thought I was giving to the eye clinic. He said, well, yeah, but the website you donated to, it runs about 20 different things. So which of those things did you want to give to? So it's very common, right? That if you give some donation, somebody may want to give to something in particular. Somebody might, well, I want to give to fix the plumbing, or I want to give for the deity's new outfit, or, something like that. Everything's needed. The new plumbing is needed and the deity's outfit is needed. But we have things that we particularly want to give. So when we say that we're attracted to a particular form of the Lord, or a particular quality of the Lord, or a particular mood of the Lord, in other words, that's what we want to do for his happiness. It's not like materially where I want my husband to be a certain way, so I'll enjoy. that if my husband is social and I'm not, and I might want him to be more introverted for my happiness, or I may want him to be more social for my happiness. However, with the devotees, they're seeing that Krishna has unlimited ways in which he wants to be happy, in which he's acting as the enjoyer. And there's one of those ways that particularly appeals to me as a jiva, that I want to facilitate his happiness in that way. Now, sometimes it isn't just one, like we were saying, how the jiva can expand themselves. So there are times when the jiva is assisting in more than one incarnation at the same time, eternally. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati says that some of the jivas in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement become part of Lord Chaitanya's eternal pastimes, some become part of Krishna's eternal pastimes, and some both. Just like we find that Kavi Karnapur in his Gaura Ganesh Deepika, he describes, this person in Caitanya Lila is also such and such person in Krishna Lila. So Krishna Lila is going on eternally, Gaura Lila is going on eternally. So if somebody has a role in both pastimes, then that means that they're serving eternally. So like I might say, well, I want to buy you towels and I want to buy you a spice rack. I want to buy something for the bathroom and I want to buy something for the kitchen. So with transcendence, one can do that simultaneously forever. And we have, of course, also jivas who are in Ram Lila, Krishna Lila, and Gaura Lila. Right? They may be monkey soldiers in Ram Lila and cowherd boys in Krishna Lila and brahmanas in Gaura Lila. So maybe like that. In various Leelas simultaneously. Yes. So the jiva can be like that. It's not, we shouldn't think, well, we're limited. I only have one thing, all I can do for the Lord is get his spice rack. I can't also do other things. So we can be doing like that. But it is according to our desire and our personal taste. It's not like, in communist China, I don't know if they still do this, but at least used to be in communist China, they just assign your job to you. Doesn't matter whether you're good at it, whether you like it. It's just, all right, you're going to be a street sweeper and you're going to be a teacher and you're going to be this and you're going to be that. And it just doesn't matter how you feel. I mean, sometimes this happens in our Hare Krishna movement. I'm not talking about a temporary emergency, but as an ongoing thing where some authority may say, hey, you do this and you do this and you do that, regardless of if you're any good at it or if it's your nature or anything of the kind. And it's interesting that even materially, Krishna wants us to do service according to our nature. It's one of the main teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. And it's particularly emphasized in chapter 3 and chapter 18, that whatever our nature is, even our conditioned nature, our material nature, our temporary, we should use that in the Lord's service, and we shouldn't do the work of someone else's nature, even if we can do it very well, technically speaking. Even if we can be very good at it, it has to be something that we have a taste for, something that we really like, something that suits us. There are many of us that are good at many, many things. We can do many, many things well. But each of us has a particular nature, and Krishna wants us, even in this world, to serve according to our nature, what to speak of in the spiritual world. All right, what happens if a living entity who wants to serve the Lord in a particular way ends up being with a form of the Lord that is not the form they normally serve? Yeah. Then what happens? So here Prabhupada's writing about, and Prabhupada writes about this in various places, that there are people who see, well, Lord Chaitanya is God. And so they're trying to relate to him as if he's God. Because they want to relate to God as Krishna. not as Gora. Now, it's interesting that Srila Prabhupada uses this word never. He never assumed the complexion or status of Lord Krishna. And I just want to kind of point this out on the side that Shastra, our Acharyas, Srila Prabhupada, will use sometimes these absolute words, which are not intended to be understood absolutely. Because to say he never assumed the complexion or status of Lord Krishna, we know that when the Lord saw, after the conversation with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, the Lord showed a form of Vishnu and Krishna. We know that to Ramananda Roy, the Lord showed this form of Krishna and Srimati Radharani. We know in the 21-hour ecstasy in Navadvip, the Lord showed his form as the Lord, as Krishna. And he was giving benedictions of Krishna, not in the mood of Srimati Radharani. So there are certainly times, or with Jagai and Madai, when he calls for his chakra, I mean, there are times when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed that he was Krishna or he was Vishnu. He showed his Sadbhuj form. So never, I mean, it was very rare. It was very rare. It certainly wasn't his general demeanor. Generally, if somebody would say to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you are Vishnu, he'd cover his ears. He'd say, Vishnu, 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 I am just a servant. I'm just a servant. Because he wanted to show, as Prabhupada says here, that it was the original cause of his assuming the body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was to take on this mood of Srimati Radharani. That was his original mood. Of course, he also wanted to propound the Yuga Dharma, the Sankirtan movement. And he wanted to show, as Prabhupada explains in this purport, that the easiest way of success, as Prabhupada says, is cultivation of love for Krishna's separation. That's kind of hard to show when you're there in the mood of Krishna. How do you show when you're in the mood of Krishna? You know, you can talk about bhakti like Krishna does in the Bhagavad Gita. You can talk about surrender. But how are you going to personally demonstrate that? I mean, you can demonstrate that, of course, through your devotees, such as the gopis feeling separation. But the Lord wanted to show a very strong example of this love and separation while he's fulfilling the Yuga Dharma of Sankirtan and while he himself is personally feeling this bhava of his devotee, Srimati Radharani. And the Lord is very clever. It's one of his qualities that he can execute many things with one function. So what happens if you're dealing with some form of the Lord that's not your preferred form? Then one respects that the Lord is in that mood. Yes? One has that respect. Oh, right now the Lord's in that mood. And so one doesn't disturb that mood of the Lord. One respects it. I mean, we have some instances in Caitanya Lila, like where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu takes the form of Nrsingadev and is roaring through the streets and scaring everyone. And then it's like, oh, maybe I think Srivas, who said to him, you know, hey, you're not in that. That's not who you are right now. But still, Mahaprabhu said, oh, I've offended everybody by scaring them and being so angry. And the devotee, again, I'm pretty sure it was Srivas, who says, no, actually, just hearing your name liberates everyone. So seeing you in that mood of Nrsingadev also liberates. But one has to respect that, the mood, you know, that particular mood at that particular time. I mean, we have a similar concept in the Bhagavatam about the role of a husband and wife, that the wife, particularly the wife, is to respect the mood and the vows of the husband, that what the husband wants to achieve with the husband's mission, that she follow that. That doesn't mean if you marry a man who ends up wanting to rob banks or be intoxicated all the time, that you have to do that. But putting aside, criminal things, That is the idea. It's one reason why there should be compatibility before marriage. so that when the wife is adopting the husband's mood, it's already close to her mood. You know, she's supposed to assist in a traditional society. The wife assists in the husband's career, which is one of the reasons why men and women are supposed to be of the same varna when they get married. You know, nowadays it's become something so superficial and foolish. You know, what family are you born in? What family are you born in? We have to match people born in the same family, same kind of family according to varna. So that's not the idea. The idea is that it's very easy for a woman to follow her husband's vows and adopt his mood if it's already the same or close to her mood. And she can help him in his occupation. The women in Vedic times had careers, but generally it was careers where the husband and wife shared a career. And she was the assistant in that career. So if she has the same varna inclination, then that's very easy. If she has a different varna inclination, then it's a little difficult. But if we're around a form of the Lord that's really not compatible with our mood of service, then we can request to see the form that we desire. And of course, Arjuna asked to see the Vishvarupa. Arjuna asked to see the universal form. And he asked to see the universal form for many reasons, to establish that Krishna actually is the Lord, not just his friend. Also because Krishna had just been describing how he's manifested in the world. And then Arjuna's like, well, I want to actually see it. But then we find Arjuna requests, please let me see your forearm form. That's a form in which one can offer worship and respect. And then the Lord showed his forearm form and then his two-arm form. So the Lord then showed Arjuna the form that he desired. And he said that. He said, now I will show you the form that you desire. And this is true with Devaki and Vasudeva when the Lord appeared as four-handed with a full head of hair and ornaments, and he appears as Vishnu. And he said, I'm taking this form, I'm appearing in this form in order to convince you that I'm God. I've been your child before, and I want to just show you that you wanting to have me as your child is fulfilled and so forth. But then Devaki says, please take the form of an ordinary human child. So if we're seeing a form of the Lord that's not compatible with the way we want to serve, we respect that form. But at the same time, we can say, may I please see the form of the Lord that I like to serve. Now, when we're respecting the Lord's form, just like on Nrsimha Chaturdashi, we're worshiping Nrsimhadev, and we're doing that in respecting the mood that Nrsimhadev has. Or Varaha Dwadasi, we're respecting the mood that Varaha has when we have this day of worship. And you can say, well, if I respect the mood that the Lord has, what happens to my desire to serve in a particular way? And there we trust Yogakshema Vahamyaham, that Krishna will provide everything. That Krishna will provide everything. That Krishna will provide what we lack. He'll take care of what we have. That Krishna will. This is the way that the devotee becomes satisfied. Savaipum samparo dharmo yato bhaktir adhokshate ahotikiya pratita yadyatma supratidati. The way that the devotee becomes satisfied is that just like Krishna is complete, Om Purnam Ada Purnam Idam Purnat Purnadudachite. So the jiva in connection with the Lord also feels this completeness. It's like when my hand is connected to my body, my hand is complete. Yes. And if my hand were severed from my body and it were lying there, it might look like a complete hand, but it doesn't have the functions of a hand, doesn't have its complete function. So my eye is complete in and of itself, and because it's working with the complete whole. So the jiva feels complete in and of itself when it's connected with the complete. So we don't have to worry that if I please the desires of the Lord, and if I understand the mood and the mission of the Lord, that I'll lose anything. And so we give Krishna what he wants in his particular mood. Yes, and at the same time, we cultivate our individual relationship with him. And to try to force on Krishna a mood that he's not exhibiting for our own sense gratification is not service, which is what Srila Prabhupada is speaking about here. It's a disturbance. Right? Again, we just think materially. Sometimes we're in a very quiet mood, and if somebody comes along and wants us to do something very social, or it's a disturbance. It's not a service. So the Lord has this particular mood, and this mood of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is, I am Srimati Radharani. At least his mood is, I have Srimati Radharani's mood. And sometimes it's even to the point of the Abhiman of, I am Srimati Radharani. And so you'll find that the Lord's intimate associates, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's intimate associates, are dealing with him like that, are dealing, oh, where is Krishna? He's Krishna, but they're playing along with this Lila in the way that Mahaprabhu wants to play along. And then finally, just, we've touched on this several times, the Lord saying that this service and separation is the easiest way of success. So we already feel separated from Krishna in this material world. And if we start accepting that as an ecstasy, it's the easiest way, because we already feel that we're separate from him. If we start missing him, instead of going through our day, well, yeah, Krishna's away. When I see him, then I'll think about him, but no, he's not here. So why think about him if he's not here? We learn to do that with our material relationships out of frustration. If somebody's in another part of the world, it gets very frustrating, right? I have so many friends and family members who are geographically separated from me. And if I try to keep up with their lives, it actually just gets kind of frustrating. When you're in the same geographical location, it's really easy to have other people be part of your lives because they're right there. But when they're in another part of the country, another part of the world, it takes a lot of work. What are you going to be doing? Chatting with somebody all day? And then if you have hundreds of friends, how are you, you're never going to live the life you have where you are. So what we do is, most of us, with people who are geographically distant, we cut them out of our lives, except for big things. They're not part of the minutia of our lives. And those who feel separation because there's some kind of anger or some kind of estrangement, again, we often just stop thinking about them, or we think about them very little, because we can't reach out to them. There's a block between us. Yeah. So we may think that we're going to do that with Krishna. Well, I can't see Krishna. Of course, in the case of Krishna, the estrangement is due to our blocking Krishna. It's not, Krishna's not blocking us. So we may think like that. Well, why think about Krishna? And sometimes the gopis talk like that. They say, Krishna's not thinking about us anymore. He's in Mathura with the women there. So why should we think about him? But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is showing us to do the opposite, that to be absorbed in it, intensely missing Krishna. So it's not just that we are respecting this mood of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and not disturbing it, but we should also try to adopt it. This mood of intense separation, which Srila Prabhupada says the easiest to do, to go from being aware that we appear to be separate from Krishna to intensely missing his company. So we have a little bit of time. We have 10 minutes. So if anybody has a question or comment or correction.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for throwing such beautiful light on these verses and the mode of Sri Mahaprabhu. I request all the devotees, if you have any questions or any comments or anything you want to ask Mataji, please go ahead. I encourage you to please raise hands or post your questions in the comments so that we can unmute you accordingly. Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Nandu Pranams. Thank you so much for your very wonderful lecture. So many points. So my question is this, that we know that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mood and his teaching is that of one of separation from the Lord. And that is for liberated souls, right? A person can appreciate that level only when it's beyond sensuous, mental, and intellectual platform of existences. So right now, it's a.
Wait a minute. Why, are you reading from the purport?
No, I'm just.
So let's see, before you go on, let's see what Srila Prabhupada says in this purport. What does he say? Let's take a look. So I'm going to post it here. Can you read that for me?
Yeah, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu manifested himself to show that cultivation of love for Krishna in separation is the easiest way of success for all living entities.
What's the last three words?
Yeah, for all living entities.
There you go.
But then we are conditioned, right? So the thing is that this is how the sahajyas, the prakritik sahajyas comes about, that we are given something that we are not yet able to fathom or understand or relate to.
I don't understand why you can't fathom it. So do you have someone in this world that you love, but for either they're far away or they're deceased or there's some block in your relationship, and for one of those three reasons you're not able to communicate with them as much as you like? Do you have anybody in your life like that?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you miss them? At least sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, as I said, materially, intensely missing someone like that is just frustrating.
Right.
Yeah. If I intensely miss somebody who's in Slovenia or Dubai or Chennai, it just disturbs me because I can't really do anything about it. Like, I have a good friend in Chennai. I usually visit her in December, January every year. I couldn't go because of COVID. But if I sat, and I keep up with her, we communicate, but not as much as if I'm there. Right? But if I'm thinking about her all the time, what good will it do? It'll just disturb me. I'll just feel sad. Or I have people who've passed away, like my parents, my sisters, they've passed away. So if I think about them all the time, it's just a disturbance. We find that, I have a good friend whose daughter died some years ago, expected. The daughter had been quite ill. And the mother she's in grief constantly. So it's made her physically ill. She can't get her work done. So, we say you have to move on. Or I have people I love who are angry with me and they won't talk to me. And if I write to them, they won't answer. Or they'll just give me a short answer because they're angry with me. So again, if I think about them all the time, then I'm just sad. I'm just grieving. Oh, I love this person and they won't talk to me. And it's just a disturbance. But we understand the concept of loving someone in separation. As a conditioned soul, we understand that concept. And that has nothing to do with Sahajiyism. Sahajiyism is something completely different. Sahajiyism is that without following the rules of the scriptures, I imagine myself to already be a gopi, and I pretend that I'm seeing Krishna and dancing with Krishna as a gopi without following the rules of this. That's Sahajiyism. Sahaji is they're having illicit sex, they're smoking tobacco, smoking marijuana, they're so many things, and then they're pretending that they're with Krishna. And a lot of Sahajiyas won't even study the scriptures. So that's Sahajiyism. I have not met very many members of ISKCON who are doing anything that I would actually call Sahajiya. Very rare. And it's extremely, extremely rare. I mean, we should be cautious, but I think we don't want to be so cautious that, that we don't do what we're being asked to do. I'm so afraid of being a Sahajiya that I'm not going to do what Prabhupada is actually asking me to do. So that, no one's asking us to dress up like gopis. I mean, unless we're in a drama and pretend, if we're in a drama, that's okay. But otherwise, no one's asking us to dress up like gopis and pretend we're dancing with Krishna. And at the same time, drink alcohol. That's not what's going on. So what we're being asked to do is take this, to become aware that we don't see Krishna. Again, generally we push that out of our awareness. Just like I push out of my awareness the fact that I have a friend in Chennai that I'm not with. I have a friend in Dubai that I'm not with. I have a friend in London that I'm not with. I generally push that out of my awareness because what am I going to do about it? Or I generally push out of my awareness that my father's not living anymore. Or I push out of awareness that, so-and-so isn't talking to me because they're angry with me. I generally just put that aside because otherwise it's just painful. But here we're asking to not put aside that I don't see Krishna. We're asking to take that, just like this woman who's still crying over her dead daughter years later. If I'm crying over my dead daughter for 5 years, I feel polluted. But if I can cry over the fact that that I'm not seeing Krishna, I'll become elevated. Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? I wish I could be with him. I wish I could be with him. I wish I could be with Krishna. I wish I could see Krishna now. I wish I could see Krishna. I wish I could be with Krishna. I wish I could serve Krishna. Where is he? Where is he? That mood. And why not? Why can't a beginner do that? I mean, I may not be able to do it in a particular mood, like I'm a cowherd boy or something. That's different. Or that Krishna is my child, or I may not be able to do that because I don't know what my specific relationship is with Krishna. So how am I going to do that? But at least in a general way, I could say, where is he? Where is he? Why can't I see him? Again, it's hard to maintain that because it's intense, but that is what we're supposed to be practicing. We're supposed to be practicing as much as possible to be in that mood. Where's Krishna? Where's Krishna? Where's Krishna? When will I be able to see him? When will I be able to serve him? When will I be able to do real service? And Prabhupada says that's the easiest, he says that, easiest way of success. That's what he says. So I'm going to choose to believe him. I haven't experienced this to be entirely easy, but Prabhupada says it's the easiest. So I'm going to accept that even though sometimes it's not easy, it seems easy to just say, well, I don't see him, I don't feel him, I'll think about something else. Like I can't see my father, so I'll think about something else. So I can't see Krishna, I'll think about it. So that may seem easy to me. It may seem hard to me to always be absorbed in someone that I can't see and I can't feel, and to always be desiring to see and hear and feel the person who's not there. Of course, he is there. He's there in my heart. He's in every atom. He's in the sunshine. He's in the moonshine. He's in the taste of water and so forth. But anyway, it may not be easy, although sometimes Prabhupada says it becomes as easy as anything, but at least he says it's the easiest. So let's at least try for it. Is that all right? Conditioned soul or not conditioned soul, don't worry about it.
Thank you so much.
You are very welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we have a couple of other questions.
Gail Mataji.
Yes, Gail. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Mother Urmila.
Hi, Krishna.
Wonderful.
I don't see you. I just see a picture of
I know, because I have technical issues, low bandwidth and all. Yeah, well, for one thing, I want to thank you so much for that bridal registry analogy. That was so great.
Oh.
Yeah, really wonderful. I have, if I can squeeze them in, I have two questions. One is concerning your statement that Krishna would appear differently to the 16,000 queens according to their desire.
Yes.
And I'm trying to reconcile that statement with my understanding that when he did that, if those forms that he manifested falls under a particular category, the technical name for which is Prabhav Prakash.
Yes.
And my understanding is that that particular type of category of his form is one where he actually, his form and bhav is not different from his Swayam Rupa original blue, cowherd boy form or something like that. It's not different. So I'm just trying to understand how it is that he would.
Oh, what a nice question. Do you have brothers and sisters? Do you have brothers or sisters?
Yes,
Okay.
both. Mm-hmm.
You're both brothers and sisters. Okay. So let's say, and I'm not going to ask you, but I'll just hope that you have a reasonably happy, functional family. And if you don't, just pretend that you do.
No, we love each other. Yes.
Okay, good. Because I don't want to ask you if it wasn't. I don't want to embarrass you. So let's say, the family is sitting together, mother, father, and all the brothers and sisters. And everyone, let's say the father is speaking and everyone's looking at the father. So it's the same father, but believe me, you're all seeing him a little different.
Yes.
And this is true in all of our relationships. So I have, at least I think I have a lot of friends, who knows, but I have a lot of people that I think are my friends. Sometimes you get surprised. But I'm sure they all see me a little different. And even giving this class, how many of you are here? 20 something. So I'm sure you're all getting somewhat different perception from this class. And, some of you may really like a particular example I give, and other people, they're not even going to remember that. I've given a class where afterwards someone says, I love this thing you said. And I thought, man, that was just a little tangent. That wasn't even the main point, and people will also perceive me differently. Like there are people who say, people in the same room experiencing me at the same time. And somebody may walk out and go, whoa, she's intense. Oh my God. And someone else might say, oh my God, she's so sweet. I have people in the Hare Krishna movement who hate me because they think I'm a liberal. And then I have people in the Hare Krishna movement who hate me because they think I'm a conservative. It is so weird to me. It's like, why, but it's true. It's really true. People are like, oh, that Urmila, she's ruining ISKCON by being a liberal, or that Urmila, she's ruining ISKCON by being a conservative. But seriously. And sometimes those opinions will be about exactly the same action on my part. I do a particular thing, I say a particular thing, and it's interpreted different ways by different people. When we lived in Detroit, we opened up the restaurant and cultural center, which something Prabhupada wanted us to do. Of course, now they're closed. But anyway, so we had been asked by the temple president to set up something so we could look at the news broadcasts about the opening. And we looked at one channel, I'm pretty sure it was NBC. And they had a local branch of the station that reported on the grand opening. And then they had their national branch that reported on the grand opening. So the Detroit Temple is situated right at the border of Detroit and a suburb called Grosse Pointe Park. Grosse Pointe Park is, I think, the second wealthiest community in the United States, right after Beverly Hills. It's right on Lake St. Clair. Huge mansions, huge lawns. we used to like to drive up there around Christmas time, and our kids would see all the, $1 million decorations. But very, very, very rich people live there. I was just a few blocks in one direction. And if you went a few blocks in the other direction, you went to Jefferson Avenue, which at least in those days was a mess. I mean, broken windows, graffiti, broken alcohol bottles on the street, and high crime area. Now, the place where the temple was not really in either of those neighborhoods. It was in Detroit itself, but it wasn't right on Jefferson Avenue. It was all these small single family dwellings right by the canal, woods there, and so forth. So anyway, one of these, they were both the same station, both, and I think it was NBC, but it was both the same network. One was the local and one was the national. And one of them reported, they showed Jefferson Avenue, and they showed, the broken glass and the graffiti and all that. And then they showed the Hare Krishna temple with our restaurant and our cultural center. And they said, here's an area that's, high crime, falling apart, and the Hare Krishnas are fixing it, and they're helping it with their restaurant and their cultural center, and this is wonderful. And then the same network, I can't remember which was the local, which was the national, they show Grosse Pointe Park. And they say, here's this, beautiful area of Michigan, and the Hare Krishna, then they show the Hare Krishna temple. The Hare Krishnas are ruining it and commercializing it with their restaurant and their cultural center. So, same network, seeing the same event in two very different ways. So when we say that Krishna's form with each of the wives was different, although he's still that same Krishna, he's not there as Vishnu, he's not there as Varaha, he's not there as Ramachandra, but still each of them are perceiving him differently. He's relating with each of them as they want to be related with, and out of his infinite and ever expanding qualities, he's especially manifesting the qualities that are pleasing to them. The Lord also has, according to Rupa Goswami, 4 main aspects of his personality: Dhirodata, Dhirodata, Dhiraprasanta, Dhiralalita. Dhirodata is the hero, the noble hero. Dhirodata is the bad boy. Dhiraprasanta is the gentleman. And Dhiralalita is the party boy. And again, each of the gopis, each of the cowherd boys, each of the queens, they like all aspects of Krishna, certainly, but at least according to Sanatana Goswami, they have a particular quality that especially attracts them. And so when Krishna's around them, he especially manifests that quality. And again, we could see that, I'm sure with your brothers and sisters, that, when just you were with your father, without your brothers and sisters, hopefully, at least he would try to particularly be the way you liked being with him. I have a grandson who loves geography. And so, I bought him a book of maps, and he set up some geography quizzes, and I take his geography quizzes. He has a brother who doesn't care about geography. He has a brother who has a hard time knowing east from west. So I'm not going to buy him a map book. So I'm the same person, and I look the same, but I'm going to be dealing with them different. I know that was a long answer, but does that answer your question?
It was beautiful, beautiful answer. Really beautiful. I don't know if I'm supposed to give somebody else a chance. I had one other question.
Why don't you ask that? Mahalakshmi asks me questions all the time. She can wait for another day. She'll be fine.
You did bring up, actually, let me just follow up and make sure I have my understanding straight that, when Krishna showed up in Mathura, and you saw different people seeing him in different ways, just like different roles, some saw him as enemies, some saw him as lovers, some saw him as this, that. It's the same thing there, right?
Yes, it's the same thing. Mm-hmm. Their experience of Krishna was different. It was the same Krishna, but their experience of him was different. And Krishna does that to please his devotee. Krishna wants, wants to give the devotee the experience that devotee wants, and the devotee wants to give Krishna the experience that Krishna wants.
Mm-hmm.
So Krishna, the devotee, is picking up what is Krishna's mood, and what is Krishna's mood right now. You know, with even Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu during Chaturmasya, when the devotees would come from Bengal, he would mostly be in external consciousness. And when they'd go back to Bengal, he'd be more in internal or internal mixed consciousness. And so, you know, when Ramananda Roya and Swarup Damodar are with the Lord, when the other Bengali devotees are there, they also adopt a different mood than when they're with Mahaprabhu at another time of year, when the Bengalis are gone and it's in the evening and they're alone in the Gambhira. So they're also going to adopt different mood according to the particular time and place, and the Lord is going to reciprocate with them differently according to their desire. Now with the Lord, when he has a different mood, he also looks a little different. And I think that's, again, even true materially. You know, some people are going to look at me and think I'm attractive, and some people are going to look at me and think I'm unattractive, depending on how they feel about me, not just depending on, you know, my bone structure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, you know, but with Krishna, when he has different, when he's manifesting different qualities and having different moods, the devotee also sees him a little different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, they see the Lord's form even looks a little different to that devotee. And this is one reason why you'll find, you know, different people who personally saw the Lord, and they would paint a picture and they'd fashion a deity. This is what the Lord looks like. This is one of the reasons why there's different religious systems and different descriptions of the form of the Lord. You know, if the Lord was a piece of furniture, you know, if the absolute truth was an object, it would be very easy for everybody to describe God the same way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right,
Yeah.
I should get going now. I have actually a very busy day today, and Mahalakshmi, don't worry, you talk to me. She'll be fine. So thank you very much.
You the question.
I used up my second
You can
question
ask
on
me
a
another time.
follow-up. Okay.
She can ask me.
Thank you.
I do need to go. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Kamodaki Mataji, want to end the call? We can't hear you, Kamodaki Mataji. Kamodaki Mataji.
Can't hear you.
Okay, Kamodaki Mataji, we can't hear you. If you can. Okay, I think I'll end the call then.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Caitanya Caritamrta ki jai, Her Grace Urmila Devi Dasi ki jai. Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
so
Mata.
very much for your valuable association.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.